We are on the
Okay. So thanks everyone for joining today. This is the 6th week of our course. In today's session, we're really going to dive deep into content and content's role in an effective, successful SEO campaign. So here's where we're at in the course. So we're actually past the halfway point now. Several more weeks and you all should be SEO experts. So I'm really excited to see you guys are going to be teaching me some things by week 10. So roadmap for today, as I mentioned, we're going to dive deep into content. So we're going to talk about what is content, content's role in the digital marketing world, and specifically SEO. We're going to go over what makes high quality content high quality and how you can create it or start creating it today. And then, of course, we're going to talk a bit about SEO. So this is going to be more of a review of some things that we've already gone over for SEO optimization. And then finally, key takeaways. So this is really going to be a brief section, but some key takeaways that I want you all to go home with from this session. And we actually, and then of course at the end of the session, we're going to have some time for Q&A. And for homework, so I'm actually reworking the homework questions for this week. So I'll make sure when I upload this slide deck to the Google Drive that slide is there, but right now it's not. So let's go ahead and get started. So what is content? And if you ask 100 people, you're going to get 100 different answers. So here's one answer to that question. Content is high quality, useful information that conveys a story presented in a contextually relevant manner with the goal of soliciting an emotion or engagement. Delivered live or asynchronously, content can be expressed using a variety of different formats, including text, images, video, audio, or presentations. And that's from Heidi Cohen from the Actionable Marketing Guide. So that's a very long definition, but few things that you all should take away from that is that content isn't necessarily just text. Content can be different formats. So an image is a type of content. Video is a type of content. Audio or even this slide deck can be considered a type of content. The other part of this, and we're gonna touch on this later on in the session, but good content, it's able to trigger some type of emotion or trigger engagement from the reader or the consumer. So if someone's reading a really good article, it should have some purpose or why they're reading that article or some value that particular content is giving the reader. Now here's a simpler definition from Derek Halpern of social triggers. So content comes in any form. Again, we already talked about that part, audio, video, and text. And it informs, entertains, or teaches the people who consume it. So again, content comes in different forms and it has some purpose. Sometimes you want to inform people, so you want to teach people something. Other times you might just want to entertain people, so make them have a good chuckle in the morning before they start work. Whatever the case, good content, it has some purpose. And here's an even simpler definition, and this is pertaining more with SEO. So any content created with the goal of attracting search engine traffic. Now, me personally, I like to combine this particular definition with maybe this second one. So the goal of content when you're putting on your website is that you want to use it as an asset to attract more traffic to your website. The more traffic that your website gets, the closer you'll get to accomplishing your goals of your website, whether that's more customers, more subscribers, more people sharing your content on social media. That all starts with getting more search traffic. So any questions there? Okay. And so as we already talked about, there are many different types of content. Again, this presentation, there are websites out there where I could post it and it can be, a content. So someone else who's learning SEO, they can come in and they can actually use it to learn some basic SEO. I won't go over all of these, but social media posts are a type of content. Podcasts are a type of content. Articles, of course, case studies, tutorials. There are really a lot of different types of content. And so the way that you figure out which content to use, first, you want to figure out what will resonate with your audience. So, Jarek, your website is focused on photography. So I saw that you had several photographs. So someone who is maybe just looking for a photograph website, they might not want to read a ton of text. So of course you want to use more images and more visual representations of content versus maybe someone who is a writer and they just want to use their website to showcase their writing, where in that case they might stick strictly to text content. So it really matters on your audience. Something else that you might want to consider when you're figuring out the type of content to use for your website is your own personality and your own style. If you hate writing, it's going to show in your writing. It's just not going to be really good. It's going to be very hard for you to write articles on a consistent basis, and it's going to show. But instead, let's say that you have a more extroverted personality, and maybe your personality comes across better over video. Well, maybe instead of content, maybe you want to focus on doing a video blog every week or a few times a week, because that would be the better way to showcase your personality and be authentic with your website users. So content is king in SEO. Pretty much anything that you're looking to do with an SEO campaign, it's going to start with content. And so I'm going to go through these bullet points, but I'm going to go into them deeper in the next few slides. But content, it offers opportunities to target keywords. The more content that you have on a website, obviously the more opportunities you're going to have to incorporate target keywords naturally. Useful content can help with social validation. Quality backlinks are attainable with good content. People want to link to and share articles that are helpful or really entertaining. Content simply is needed for higher search engine rankings. So there are some SEO thought leaders that might disagree with this, but if you're sticking to white hat SEO, then content is a necessary component of that. When Google search engine crawlers review your website, if there's no content to review, then they really don't know what to rank your website for. So you have to give material to these search engine crawlers in order for them to rank your website. And then finally, and this is something I'm going to revisit throughout this session, but great targeted content addresses the user intent. So when someone clicks through to your page, they have some reason why they're clicking. Either they're looking to solve a problem, they're looking for a good laugh, they want to see good photos, or they want to watch insightful video. Whatever the case, your content needs to address that intent. So that's where really understanding your target audience and their needs comes into play when you're delivering content on your website. So in-depth content provides ample opportunity to target keywords. So keywords, they still matter when ranking pages, even though the Google search algorithm undergoes changes maybe 500 to 600 times a year. And within those 500 to 600 times, there are probably only 2 or 3 times that are really major. Keywords still play a critical part in that. In ranking your pages. So you want to make sure that you're writing long-form, high-quality content that gives you opportunities to incorporate keywords. Excellent content helps with social validation. So content that delivers value in some way is more likely to be shared on social networks like Facebook, Twitter, or Pinterest. And those are just a few examples. Any social network, really, Instagram, YouTube, those are all places where content can be shared or referenced. And there's this idea that if you satisfy your readers, the people who consume your content, it's going to attract more satisfied readers. Because let's say you have some problem, right? And you're kind of researching online on how to solve that problem, and you find a really good article that pretty much goes step by step how you solve that problem. And let's say you know that your friend Joy, she also has the same problem and she's kind of stuck in the same boat as you. Well, you share that article on her Facebook page, or you might even just text it to her, send her the link to it. And of course, if she has the same problem, more than likely that article is going to solve that problem for her too. And that just keeps going and going and going. So when you guys hear about articles or videos going viral, it's either because it's really taking a unique approach to solving a problem, or it's entertaining people in such a way that they feel that they must share it. So that's how satisfied readers attract more satisfied readers, through social sharing. And then finally, for SEO, social validation hasn't been proven to be a ranking factor. And so when I say social validation here, I mean when the number of shares that a particular post has, so number of Facebook likes, the number of retweets on Twitter, the number of pins on Pinterest, those haven't been shown to be a ranking factor by data, but they usually correlate with improved search engine rankings and website traffic. So if a particular article has 1,000 likes on Facebook, then that's a good sign that it's a really good article. And while that won't directly impact your search engine ranking, that shows that at least 1,000 people have gone to your article, read it, and that kind of signals that article is getting some good traffic through Google. So they don't necessarily correlate, but it's a good sign that your rankings will improve if you have strong social signals. Next, great content makes backlink acquisition easier. And this is just kind of a follow-on from the previous slide about social validation. And when someone links back to your website, it's just another way that they show that they really like your content and they present it to a larger audience. So again, let's say that, okay, Joy, she finds a really good article, or she writes a really good article about developing your vocal ability for aspiring singers. And on Dia's website, she has maybe a page that talks about how you can become a really, successful K-pop star. And of course, part of that, you might need to have some vocal ability. So she finds Joy's article and she links to it. And so maybe she also shares it on social media, who knows, but she links to it. And in a way, that opens up Joy's article to a larger audience. So now, not only does Joy audience see that article, but Dia's audience will as well. So that's just another way to validate someone's content. Now, review question, and this one's going to be for Jana. Yeah, Jana. So, Jana, why is it important to build backlinks to your website?
Allows user search engine find great content.
Say that one more time, please.
Allows user and search engines find great content.
Right. That's one reason why. Yeah, very good, very good. Does anyone know any other reasons why it's important to build backlinks?
It gives your website a higher ranking. It's a higher ranking factor for search engines.
Yep. Yep. Any other reasons?
Are there
Yeah, so those are both very good points. But some other reasons why you want to build backlinks. So we use Dia's and Joy's example. So remember when Dia links to Joy's article, she's pretty much sharing that article with her audience. So let's say that Dia's website, it has over 1,000 visitors per day. So that means 1,000 visitors per day, and let's just say a percentage of that. So maybe 5% of those readers actually look at the article, look at the link from Joy's website, and they actually click through to it. So in the process, from linking to Joy's article, Dia is referring traffic to her website. So kind of going back to the question, why is it important to build backlinks? Well, you're right. It definitely helps with search engine rankings. It definitely helps Google find your content, but can also help with improving your website traffic. So just another reason to note down why it's important to build backlinks. Any questions there? Okay. Content helps with higher rankings. And so higher search engine rankings equals more online visibility. So for pretty much the reasons we just discussed, so the more content you put out there, the more discoverable that you make your website. And assuming that it's high quality content, it helps with your rankings. And the higher your rankings are in Google and any search engine for that matter, the more visibility your company, website, or brand will have. And just remember this. So as we just talked about a few slides ago, content comes in many different forms, but specifically for Google, Google ranks text content. So that's pretty much the main search engine results page that you'll see if you Google something. But I'm sure you've all used Google to look for images, so Google image search. And there's also ability to look for videos. So those are all different types of content that Google ranks. And then finally, good content serves some purpose. So this question, let's say this question is for Jarek. So Jarek, if you were to write on your photography website, let's say that you started a blog component where you're actually writing articles. If you just wrote about whatever you wanted and that whatever didn't help anyone, what would happen with your website, you think?
It will not show the result in search engine.
Yeah, that's very true. So if you wrote about stuff that or different topics that no one found interesting or really didn't help anyone, then people really wouldn't have a reason to go to your website, right? So that's why it's really important to make sure that your content serves some purpose. And it doesn't always have to be informative, right? Like there are plenty of really popular websites out there that just spread gossip. So people want to be entertained. They read them, in their lunch break at work or after work at night. They just want to let loose, kind of relax. And so they read an entertainment website. But that serves a purpose. People want to be entertained, and that website knows that, and they serve content that serves that purpose. Now, I just want to make one important note here. So all the content, everything we're going over is with the mission of you improving your website's SEO and your online visibility. Now, there are cases where those aren't goals for you. You just want a website to blog and kind of act as a public journal so that you can share your thoughts and your ideas. So you might not really be interested in having a #1 ranking for something, and that's perfectly okay. But for the purpose of this course, we're going to focus on your creating content to improve your search rankings and your visibility. And so how do you make sure that your content serves a purpose? So in this graphic, we have two sides. So we have on one end of the spectrum, content-centric focus. So you pretty much write the content, you write the article, and then you try to find an audience for it. So let's say Jarek, he writes an article about a specific photography technique, photo taking technique, and he really doesn't know who's going to read it. So he writes it, and then he goes to social media, and he tries to find different groups and different people who would be interested in it and sharing it. So that's the content-centric focus. On the other end of the spectrum, you have the audience-centric focus, where you already know your audience. So you know the people who are coming to your website and consuming your content, and then you create content that caters to their needs and their wants. And so it becomes a question about what you want to talk about versus what your audience wants to hear. And usually, it's good to have a balance sometimes, but you always want to steer towards the audience focus end of the spectrum more, because at the end of the day, if people don't like what you're writing about, or if it's of no interest, then they're not going to come to your website. So how do you stay audience focused? So focus on your customer avatar. So review question, does anyone remember what a customer avatar is? This was from one of our first sessions.
It's about target.
Yeah, exactly. So to add on to that, so yeah, it's about your target market. And it's basically identifying different details about that person. So what are their likes and dislikes? What are their interests? What are their goals? What are the things that keep them up at night? Those are all things that would go into your customer avatar. So if you're able to build that avatar and have that information, you're going to know what to write about and what's going to resonate with your audience. Part of that also is that you're going to understand that person's journey. So we used Joy's singing website, for example. You're going to understand different journeys. So if there's someone who's young and maybe they have a natural raw ability, but they're looking to refine their singing ability, then you're going to understand their journey, what it's going to take from them to from being that raw singer to being a well-polished singer who sings with really good technique. And you're going to be able to write to that journey. And then building on that, each stage of their journey should be addressed with different types of content and topics. So there are different stages where, a singer, on their way to being a really proficient singer, where video might be more helpful for them to kind of convey different ideas and different lessons that they should learn. There are different stages where, maybe it's just good enough for them to read an article. So maybe this becomes later on in their singing journey where they already know the basics, so they know the different, processes or preparation that's needed for a good singing performance. And maybe they're able to read and understand a more advanced article that talks about more advanced topics. Now, another review question, and this is very closely related to the customer journey and the customer avatar. So what is tofu, mofu, and bofu? Okay, good. So what does that mean? Like, try to use the mic.
Can I answer?
Yeah, sure.
Top of the funnel is when you are looking to attract a large audience. It's the stage where you want to educate an audience.
Mm-hmm.
The middle of the funnel is where when you start to educate your audience.
Mm-hmm.
And the bottom of the funnel is where you offer like free assessments, trial works.
Mm-hmm.
It's the stage where this stage may not consist of any content.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Yep, and that's exactly. So I'm glad you all remember that. So let's just keep moving then. Now, before we go into this next section, does anyone have any questions on anything? No? Okay. So what is high quality content? So you're going to hear me mention high quality, high quality. What is that exactly? So first off, it's well written. So it wasn't written by a first grader. So no offense to first graders, but you know, they have limited writing ability at their age, or unless they're a prodigy, but usually it's very limited. High quality content is useful and informative. So again, it serves a purpose. So definitely want to drill that home today. High quality content, it provides more value than other websites and competitors. So there's something unique and different that you're doing with your content. It's credible. So you're able to back up your assertions, your assumptions with different facts and different quotes from experts. It's unique. So when you're creating content, instead of thinking how many articles I can write, you should be more focused on creating something really unique that really stands apart from the rest. So this goes hand in hand with the third bullet point about providing more value than your competitors. It's engaging. When someone reads your content or sees you, watches your video, they should really have a good idea of your personality and be like, if they were to meet you in person, what would that interaction be like? So good content is well written. So I'm not sure if you all can see this, but I think so I guess, take a look. I'll actually read this out. And while I'm doing that, take a look at the right-hand side. So on the left-hand side, here's the email, which is a type of content. The title of the email is 5 Ways to Turn Passive Readers into Active Promoters. And the email says, hey there, I just wanted to share the latest post on the co-scheduled content marketing blog written by Chad Keck. And then it links to the blog article. And then under that, it says, you'll want to read this post if you have a new or small blog right now. There are 5 easy ways to help you. Number 1, I won't go into all of these, but it pretty much provides different tips on how to grow your small blog. And then it has a call to action and then a signature. Where here on the right, we have most bestest contents for you. So, hi, sir. I am from Content Article Marketing Company to give you a deal of only $3.50 USD per 500 words of article. We are native English speakers to delivery fast responsive orders. We have bulk discount for you to order more contents for cheap. Please reply with order details. We wait for you, sir. So I'm not sure if you all can read both of these, but on the right-hand side here, I could probably get these emails a few times a day at a minimum. And usually it's going to be folks selling, some service, but really not the email is not well written, they didn't have someone proofread it, and it's just not really appealing. So you always want to make sure that you have something that's well written, and even, you know, if whatever language you're writing in, if it's not your first language, maybe you have someone proofread it for you before you publish it. It never hurts to have a second set of eyes. But you want to make sure that your content is well written, because at the end of the day, it's a reflection of you, your brand, and you want to be as professional as possible. Great content serves a purpose. And here's one of my favorite quotes from Darius Farrow. It says, always be useful. And the context he was using is in life. So you always want to be useful in life. And this can also apply to content. So again, drilling home this point, you want to make sure that your content serves some type of usefulness for the consumer. So an example of this, let's say Jonah's pasta restaurant is really taken off. So now she wants to go back to her original website and kind of, you know, spruce it up a little bit, make it a little bit better. And so a good restaurant website would typically include all of the following. You want to include your location. So pretty simply, you want to provide instructions for people to find your restaurant. You want to include your hours of operation. So if someone wants a late night meal, will you be open, and should they spend time traveling to your location? You want to provide contact info. So if someone has a special request, or they're looking to make a reservation for a large group, you want to make sure it's easy for people to contact your restaurant. So your email, your phone number, and so forth. You might even have a contact form right on the website. You want to include a menu, and that's really important, because there's nothing worse than getting to a menu or to a restaurant and realizing that they don't serve the type of food that you're looking for, or if you have some specific dietary requirement, maybe you're a vegetarian, maybe you're vegan, and they don't have any options for you. That would be a waste of your time. And then finally, you want to include a blog. Now, why would a restaurant website want to include a blog? Jonah, what do you think?
Ng, to know the content of your restaurant.
Sure. But, you know, if a restaurant, if their focus is food, right? Like for hundreds of years, good restaurants, they were successful without a website, without a blog, right? So now in the new age, it's expected that you have a website. But a blog, you know, some people might agree that a restaurant would need a blog, some people may not. So why do you think it would be useful for a restaurant to have a blog? This is just something we've gone over, so I'm just curious to get your opinion.
To promote.
Promote, that's a very good point, Jarek, to promote. Yeah, so you have a blog, you can promote your articles on Facebook. You can, you know, it's a way for you to promote your articles, your restaurant, while being super salesy, right? So that's a very good point, Jarek. Any others?
To inform.
What was that?
To inform.
To inform? What would you want to inform people about?
Like, if you would like to offer a free recipe of one of your bestsellers,
Mm-hmm.
so that would be one.
Yeah, that's very good. That's very good. Yeah, so to inform. So if this is a pasta restaurant website, maybe someone, you know, will want to know why you started the restaurant, Jonah, why you use the ingredients you use. Where do you get the ingredients from? Do you grow them yourself, or do you get them from some farm somewhere. They might want to know all of that. So a blog, I think Jarek, he had a really good point, but to add on to that, a blog would be a great way for your customers, your diners, to get an inside look into your restaurant. So yeah, they come in, they might dine, but unless they know the owner, or unless they know Jonah intimately, they might not know the why behind the restaurant, some of the things that go on behind the scenes. So I know there's one popular restaurant here in my city. They'll actually video the chefs preparing the food, and whether that it goes good or goes bad, I've seen videos where they drop plates, where they drop the food on the floor, so they have to like restart the whole dish because obviously you can't serve food that drops on the floor. Yeah, it's just an inside look of what goes on. And the reason why that's important, it goes back to authenticity. People feel that they know you a little bit better. And so I wouldn't say they look at you as a friend, but they look at you as more than just someone they're giving their money to. So that's why, those are all reasons why a restaurant website will want to include a blog on your site. Any questions there? Okay. So you want to provide more value than other websites. So these can be competitors or other websites within your niche. So this is the next point. So Joy, going back to your singing website. So let's say you were to write an article about how young male aspiring singers can make the transition during puberty. So typically when young men, when they go through puberty, their voice breaks, it gets deeper. So that really might have some impact on their ability to sing or to hit certain notes as they did before. So actually, I'll open this question up to anyone. So how do you make sure that Joy's article provides more value or a different perspective than other articles on the web? What are your thoughts?
Right, very good. Write a really good and entertaining content.
Absolutely. But let's be more detailed there. So, and the content needs to be good. It needs to be entertaining. You're absolutely right. But in that content, how do we know what we should be, kind of some points we should be talking about, like different bullet points we should go through? Any thoughts? And this is something we haven't really gone over yet either. So I just wanted to know kind of where you all were thinking there.
Think about your customer avatar.
Think about your customer avatar. Very good. Absolutely. Absolutely. But let's say, okay, I'm just going to keep making this question more difficult. So let's say that, let's say that Joy, okay, she has this singing school. So she has a website for her singing school. And she's going against 3 other singing schools in her area. And they all have websites and they all have a customer avatar. So each one of them know who they're targeting. So how else could Joy figure out what she needs to talk about in that article?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. So Joy is preparing this article on how young male aspiring singers that are going through puberty, how can they make that transition? So how can she be sure that the article that she's writing, how can she be sure that it's better than her competitors, simply?
Better than your competitor.
Yeah.
Maybe you can try to like interview someone who has gone through that stage.
Yep. Yep.
Use that for your content.
Yep. Very good. Very good answer, Thea. Uh, so I'm actually going to do a little demo. And here I'm going to show you, so all those answers are actually really good, but there's a more straightforward way. So if we just Google how to help male singers through puberty, you see here at the very top we have video. Now, the first thing that should tell us, if we have videos at the very top, that means that people, they really want to watch videos to answer this question. So Dia, to your answer, maybe she should interview someone who has gone through it. That was spot on, because obviously we see here, these videos show that people like to watch video on it. Now, how else can we figure out what we should talk about? So let's click through the first 2 or 3 articles here. Let's see what they're talking about. And while we wait for those to load, when we're looking at the videos, so let's say that Joy does decide to do an interview with one of her students who have gone through this, who has gone through puberty, and they're still able to retain their singing ability. So we see here, singing tips, how to sing high notes for teenage boys. So maybe that's a point she wants to make sure she covers in that interview. We can also look at how long the video is. So this is not always true, but typically the longer a video is, the more in depth that particular person was able to go into the topic. So we see here, this one is about 11 minutes and 30 seconds, about 2 minutes, about 4 minutes. So it's all over the place. So, if I were to just pick one of these, I would go with the longest video. So this one is 11 minutes and 30 seconds. Maybe shoot for something around 12 minutes or more. That way it's longer, and you are you're positioning yourself to be ranked here. Now, something else that I will look at is just some of the phrases that they're using in the title. So singing tips, sing high notes for teenage boys, singing through puberty, changing voices of male singers. These all give you clues about the different keywords and phrases that you might want to target in that content. So these articles should have loaded by now, so let's see. So the first one, how can I sing while my voice is changing during puberty? And what I would recommend to Joy is that she kind of reads through these different responses. And usually, does anyone use Quora here?
No.
No? Okay. So basically this website, you go in there, you ask something. It can be pretty much anything. And then these experts, or quote unquote experts, they'll provide different responses to your question. And usually it's going to be quite a few responses. And you see here, doesn't this video look familiar? It's actually the same video we saw on the first page. So this probably is the same guy. But what I would recommend for Joy is that she goes through here, these different responses, see which ones are getting likes. So this one was upvoted 5 times. This one was upvoted twice. And just look at the different recommendations they have to address that particular question. And then from there, she can kind of have a better idea on what different topics she should cover in her article about voice changing during puberty. So that's Quora. Let's look at the other 2. So is anyone familiar with Reddit? No? Yeah, so Reddit is very similar to Quora. So basically there's going to be some topic here, and then different people, they're going to have different responses. So again, the same process. So Joy would go through here, kind of look at some of the different things that people are saying, and she can use this as kind of material for her own content. And then finally, let's look at the third one. So the third one looks like an actual website. So take lessons. So this is an actual blog article. And then you see there's a section just for boys. So these are different tips and techniques that young boys can use if they're going through puberty and they're looking to retain their singing ability. So again, this is where competitive analysis comes in. This is something we'll go into more detail next week. But if Joy is trying to write a unique article that's better than her competitors, then these are the different things that she should look at when preparing that content. So any questions there? No? Okay. So let's go back. So show credibility. So you want to make sure that in your content that you include the following elements. So you want to do original research. So I'm sure you all are very familiar with primary sources and secondary sources. Anytime we write, an article or content or paper for school, our teacher is always like, make sure you use primary sources and whatnot. So you want to make sure that you do some original research. So the research that we just did by looking at those other websites, that would be secondary research, because basically we're using the content that people already put out there, and then we're using it as material for our own content. Now, the original research would be the part where Joy interviews her student, because, yeah, that's coming right from the horse's mouth. So whatever that student says, that's real life experience. So that's not something that can be easily replaced or talked about unless someone has actually gone through it. So in our case with Joy, the interview would be original research. You want to include outbound links to authority websites. So let's say one of you had a website about the Philippines and you were talking about the history of the Filipino government. You want to make sure that you link out to different government websites or different educational websites, like websites for universities, where the content has been reviewed and verified for its accuracy. So you want to make sure that you're linking out to authority websites. And then you want to do expert interviews. So let's go back to Joy's example. So in addition to interviewing one of her students, she also interviews a renowned world expert in vocal coaching. And that's an expert. He or she would know very well how to help a young man do puberty, how to help them with their vocals. So that's something that would be golden for her content, because not all of her competitors are going to have that. And simply, credibility adds to your website's trustworthiness and reputation. Anytime you have content on your website, or you are making assumptions or assertions, you want to make sure that you have the facts and stats to back those assumptions up with. You want to be unique with your content. So many times, and these are people who do solely SEO, they might write one article and then they might do what's called article spinning, where they'll take one article and then change a word here and there and create 100 different versions of that one article. Well, that sounds good, right? Because none of those articles are completely the same. But you'll see if this is done enough, the content quality goes down, and it just doesn't provide a really good experience for whoever is consuming the content. So remember, when you're creating good content, you never just want to focus on SEO. You want to focus on the user experience. Because at the end of the day, if you're providing good value with your content, you're going to reap all the SEO benefits. You want to engage your users. So again, you want to let your personality shine through your content. And you want to make sure that your content resonates with your target audience. So it's a mixture of knowing what will resonate with your target audience, and then using your personality to address that content or to deliver that content. So we already used the extroverted example, but let's say you're more of an introvert. then maybe actually writing a blog article might be the best fit, because you don't have to be in front of a camera. You don't have to feel like you're on cue, and that might make an introvert uncomfortable compared to an extrovert. So maybe, doing like a photography type content, or infographic, or writing a blog, maybe that'll be a better fit for your personality. And then finally, it's great to put content on your website, but you always want to make sure that you engage your users as much as possible. And here are a few ways you can do that. Social media updates. So anything that you put on your website, you want to share it on social media. And I would say at a minimum, share it to your personal Facebook page. You want to allow or offer the ability for people who visit your website to comment on your content. So that gives them a way they can become more engaged. So let's say that on Dia's K-pop website, Dia, who's your favorite K-pop group?
EXO.
EXO. So let's say you're a fan, you really adore them, and you write an article on EXO that really just highlight all of their positives. So one way where you can really allow your users to engage, let's say one of your readers absolutely hates EXO, and maybe they have valid reasons why they really don't like them. And they add a comment to your article. Well, as long as they're being respectful, as long as they are being constructive, then that offers a great opportunity for people to debate on that particular article. And you'll see this where an article, it's on a particular topic, but then the commenting section gets so intense with debate where that people would just go to the article just to see the comment section. Wherever the case may be, that's more people coming to your website. So you're accomplishing your goal of improving your website traffic. So, and more than likely, if people are that engaged where they're debating about something you wrote, then more than likely they're going to be sharing it on social media too. And then you want to make sure that you you give your users the ability to share your content on social media. So you want to add what are called social share widgets, and this will actually be part of your homework for this week, where they can just click the Facebook button, the Twitter button, whatever social media platform they want to share it to, and it makes it very easy for them to share. Now, so we talked about high quality content and kind of what makes content good quality. So how do you go about creating that optimized content? And this is a pretty popular phrase for success, and it goes, proper planning prevents piss poor performance. So when you're thinking about the content strategy for your website or for a client's website, you always want to leave time and energy for planning at the beginning of the process. So how do you do that? So you want to use an editorial calendar. And in that editorial calendar, this can be a simple spreadsheet that has different different columns, but you want to make sure that you include the topic of the content. You want to include the target keywords along with secondary keywords. So you already want to have this mapped out beforehand. You want to include the type of content. So will that content piece be a blog post? Will it be an infographic? Will it be a video? You want to know that ahead of time. That way, if you need to make special arrangements, maybe you need to find someone who can design an infographic for you, or you need to make sure that your desk is clean so that you can film a good video. You need to make sure that you know that ahead of time. And you want to have a scheduled publish date. Pretty much this gives you a deadline to publish the content. And there's nothing that motivates like a good deadline. So you want to include a scheduled publish date, and this will let you know when can you expect that date to go, or that content to go live on your website. You want to perform keyword research and determine your topic. So this was actually part of the editorial calendar, but I want to drill down on this point a little bit further. So you want to figure out which phrases your target audience uses to find similar information. And so that's going to be part knowing your target audience, so having that customer avatar. And that's also going to be part doing that competitive analysis. So when we were looking at the different articles about singing a few slides ago, knowing the type of things that people are saying or the type of questions people are asking is a great way to figure out which keywords you should be targeting. You want to focus on long tail keywords. So again, can someone remind me what is a long tail keyword? We haven't heard from Joy today. So Joy, what is a long tail keyword? Why don't you take a stab at it while looking at your notes?
Long tail keyword.
Oh my God.
Long tail keyword.
Can someone help her out?
Project.
No one?
Long.
So it looks like we need to do a little bit of a review on that point. So a long tail keyword. So when you're looking at keywords, you have your head term, your head keywords. So these are usually going to be 1 or 2 words. And then you have your long tail keywords, which are usually going to be 4 to 5 words. So here will be a good, perfect example of something we've already went over today. So, Joy, a head keyword that you might target for your website would be singing lessons, simply. So very general. It doesn't really target a specific reader or a particular user. So singing lessons is very general. That can apply to anyone, male or female, any age. Now, let's say we added, and you can see here, I'm not sure you can quite see. Let me zoom in here. So singing lessons, so on average, 33,000 people search for that phrase per month. So very popular, right? Now let's say if we added to this singing lessons for teenage boys. So it shows 0 here, but I'm sure it's probably a few more than that. But you can see here that it's not nearly as competitive. The previous phrase we used, singing lessons, it had a competition score of 46, which is moderate. Whereas singing lessons for teenage boys, it's a lot more specific. So not as many people are looking for it, but it's also a lot less competitive. So this is what I mean by long tail. It's pretty much going to be a few words, so at least 4 to 5 words, and it's going to be specific to a target group, in this case, teenage boys. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So, do we have a message here? Maybe not. Okay. So let's go back to the presentation. Okay. So you want to make sure you match the topic to your target keywords. So using Joy's website, for example, if the topic is about singing lessons for teenagers going through puberty, teenage boys going through puberty, then she shouldn't be targeting keywords about toddlers learning to sing or adults learning to sing, because really they won't have those same issues that someone whose voice is breaking is having. So you just want to make sure that your topic matches your target keywords. Now here's another review question. Name one keyword tool we can use to find good potential keywords. And we just saw two right there. What was that, Thea?
Keywords everywhere.
Keywords everywhere. Very good. Does anyone have a second one?
Answer the Pablo.
Yep, very good. Very good. Does anyone have a third one?
Or suggest.
Very good. Very good. So you've done your research, you have your calendar, now it's time to start writing. And so this is going to be a little different depending on the type of content you're putting together. But let's just say you were preparing a blog article where you might want to prepare some type of outline before you actually start writing. And funny enough, before each of these sessions, I actually do an outline of the session. So I do like the different points I want to cover and the different questions that I want to ask at different points of the session. So these definitely do help organize your content. Now this is an outline. I think on the right here, you would call this a mind map. And it just really depends on what best works for you. So, you know, it might not be an outline, it might not be a mind map. It might be, you know, just going outside and writing your thoughts out in sand. Who knows? If it works, if it helps you organize your thoughts, then go for it. Now, actually creating the content. So, of course, you made the outline and you actually want to use it. So stick to the outline. You want to write for the web. So writing, let's say, a paper for school and writing for your website, they're very different. And here are a few reasons why. So when you're writing for the web, you want to avoid large blocks of text. But typically when someone is scrolling, they're not looking to read huge paragraphs or a scientific paper. They want short sections where they can get the point of the article very quickly. So you want to avoid large blocks of text. You want to keep your paragraphs to 1 to 2 sentences and keep your sentences short. You know, try to target between 10 to 15 words per sentence. And again, this keeps you from having large blocks of text, and it helps someone who is consuming your content get the idea very quickly. You want to use subheadings. So you want to use heading 2 and heading 3 tags in your content. And you want to use other types of media like images, you want to use video, you want to use block quotes to help break up the text. Aesthetics are important. So guys, here's a snapshot of 2 articles or 2 snippets of an article. Now, which one is easier to read? Just from first glance.
The right one.
Why? Why do you think it's easier to read?
They're divided into several paragraphs.
Right, exactly. So several paragraphs. This person on the right is also using headings. So remember, you know, when you're writing for the web, you want to make sure that your content is scannable. So, you know, if someone only had 10 seconds to get the gist of your article, then you want to make it easy for them. So if someone just looked at the headings here, we can probably just figure out in 5 seconds so that this person, they're talking about a doctor, and apparently this doctor is really good because he has 2 Guinness World Records. So we already know, we have an idea what the content is about. Now, if we're interested in learning more, we can actually read each paragraph to get more details. Versus, compare that to the left-hand side here, well, where, the only thing that really stands out here is this link here that's in orange. And it's less than 1,000 words, just might not cut it anymore. So they might be talking about content, they might be talking about SEO, but at a quick glance, we don't really know. Any questions there? Okay.
Bathroom break.
Bathroom break? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll keep going.
Yes.
So now that we've written the content, we've planned it, and now we kind of have an outline going. Remember that this is an SEO course, so it wouldn't be fitting unless we talk a little bit more about SEO. And before I get into that, this section should be a review for the most part, but I want to have a little bit of a review question here for you. So let's go back to the search results. Let's look at something else other than singing. Sorry, Joy. Let's look at some cute puppies. So let's start with Jonah. So Jonah, let's look at this first search result. Can you tell me which part is the meta description?
Do you think every puppy is the cutest puppy?
Yep, very good, very good. Yep, that's the meta description. Jared, can you tell me which part is the URL?
www.akc.org.
Yep, yeah, that was the easy one. And Jenna, you just got back, but can you tell me in this search result which part is the page title or the title tag?
American Kennel Club.
That's part of it, yeah. So it's actually the whole thing here. Yep. So very good, very good. So let's go back to the presentation. So again, a lot of this should be review, but I just want to drill down on it. When you're creating your content and you're publishing it, it's very important that you get these things right. So optimizing the title tag. So you want to make sure that you include your primary keyword of the page, preferably at the front of the title tag. You want to include the website, brand, or company name at the end of the title tag. You want to keep it under 70 characters. So you want to make sure that it's not shortened or cut off in the search results. So here's 2 examples of title tags. Let's just focus on the title tags for now. So I already give you the answer. The second one, the one at the bottom, it's the better title tag. For the first one, Thea, can you give me a few reasons or reasons why it's not a well-optimized title tag?
Because the whole description was cut off.
It's cut off. Very good, very good. So it's probably over 70 characters. What else is missing here?
The brand.
The brand, yep. So it looks like the name of the company is Offspring, but they don't have that anywhere in here. Okay, anything else?
They did not use any catchy word.
Yeah, you could argue that trainers sell, maybe that's the keyword that they're going after. but it doesn't really look like they're targeting any specific keyword in its title tag. So definitely don't want to, that's not something that you want to skip. Because again, the title tag is a very important place that the search engine crawlers use to determine the topic of a particular page. Very good, Dia. Optimizing the meta description. So again, you want to include the primary keyword of the page. You want to include a call to action. So Joy, what is a call to action?
Join.
Click here.
Ano na siya ganun?
Very good, very good. Yeah, so click here would be an example. Read more, learn more, visit our website, visit us, call us. All examples of calls to action. You want to keep the meta description under 156 characters. And again, this ensures that your meta description isn't cut off in the search results. And finally, this is more kind of the marketing piece of it, but you want to treat that snippet as a mini advertisement for your page. So you want to write something that's really going to appeal to someone, that's going to catch their eye, and it's going to lead them to click through to your page versus other search results. So here's an example of two meta descriptions. I'm not sure if you can see the bottom one here, but I'll give you all a chance to read both, and I want you to tell me which one is the better meta description.
The one at the bottom. Copywriting for all your content, blog, social, content planning. The one at the bottom.
So does everyone think the one at the bottom?
Yes.
Well, you're right. So the one at the bottom is the better optimized meta description. Why do you think it's better?
They have call to action.
Call to action, yep, they do.
More understandable.
Yep, more understandable.
No cuts.
What was that part?
No cuts.
I still couldn't hear.
No cuts on the words.
Yep, exactly. And it's one little small thing I want you all to notice, but it's really important, is that you see here, so this search was for express writers. And you can see here in the meta description, that phrase is actually bolded. So it does stick out a little bit. And so that does give you a bit of an advantage when it comes to getting that click, because unless there are other search results that have that particular phrase bolded, you're going to stick out. And the more you stick out for the good reasons on the search results page, the better. So the next part is optimizing the URL, and this is more straightforward. So you want to make sure you include the primary keyword of the page and the URL, and you want to avoid using numbers and parameters. So you can see here this little graphic at the top here. You have what's considered a very well optimized URL, and it kind of just goes down from there. So just some things to point out here. So they're using hyphens. They're using, the phrase. I'm not sure what the keyword is, but it's probably something to do with puppies. The second example, they're using a keyword puppies, but they're also using, like, they have some numbers in here. They have these little question marks, equal signs. So a lot of parameters that aren't really helpful when you're trying to figure out what the page is about. And then finally, at the bottom, this URL, it sucks because not only does it has, really no keywords here, This has all of this I call it computer language, but all these little different parameters, pound signs. It has this CDN07 dot whatever at the beginning of the domain. So I look at that website, I'm thinking it might be spam. It might be like some virus or something. So I'm staying away from that. But very important, just make sure before you hit the publish button or your content that you do look at the URL. Now, the great thing, and I guess the great thing for you all is that you're all using WordPress, and so you can use Yoast to optimize your website. And it'll pretty much tell you, with the green dots, the orange dots, and the red dots, exactly what changes are needed. So yeah, when in doubt, just use Yoast and follow Yoast for optimizing these different things. You want to include internal and external links in your content. So this is just a quick review of last week, but you want to be mindful of anchor text. You want to make sure your links open in a new window or tab, and you want to ensure the link is helpful for the reader. So if going back to one of our earlier examples, if Thea has an article on her site about becoming a better singer, she doesn't want to link to Jonah's website about her pasta restaurant because it is in no way relevant. Instead, she wants to link to Joy's article about improving your vocal ability. Now, this is another review question for anyone who can answer, but what is the difference between a follow and no follow link?
Do follow. SEO benefit. Why no follow target? Do not provide SEO benefit.
Very good, exactly. So do follow, you're getting an SEO benefit from that link, or direct SEO benefit from that link, while no follow, you're not getting that direct SEO benefit. So that covers the meat of the content for today's session, but just some key takeaways that I want you all to take from this. You're not doing good SEO unless you're delivering good content. There are rare exceptions where you can do some black hat SEO and you're able to rank a website really well while delivering good content. But if you're sticking to white hat, then you have to put good content out there. Your SEO campaign will fail unless you integrate strong content. So just kind of carrying on from point number one, it's very difficult to see success with SEO unless you're putting out really good articles, really good videos, really good photographs. You need some material to rank. So that's why content is really important. And so that brings me to the end of the session. So any questions? No questions for today? Okay, so as I mentioned, and I'll stop recording now.